I want to show you this map real quick. So this map here, this is a 2001 census of Ukraine. The blue represents the Russian speakers. So the blue represents the Russian speakers of Ukraine. And then the rest of the orange or whatever are the Ukrainians. And you see that southern part there, that blue, that little blue dot? Not the one. I mean, you got one section there that's all Ukrainian, but there's some blue there. That's Crimea. So if you subtract Crimea, I used to think there were 17% Russians, but if you subtract Crimea, well, shit, that looks like it's probably what? Fucking 7%? So because there's only a 7% minority, oh no, there's a 7% minority. And, you know, they are right there on the edge. Like, basically, it seems like just kind of draw the lines right there, right there, right there, and then fucking build a fucking wall. Now, you get that little spot, and stay the fuck out. But that's also very few Russians. Very, very few Russians. So I would say minus Crimea, that's the lion's share. That's the bulk. That's the majority. That's way more than 50%. So, yeah, I would say there's 7%. So, in fact, I said before, 4 out of 5 were Ukrainians. But looking at this map, subtract Crimea, and it's 9 out of 10. It'd be 7%, so it'd be 93% would be Ukrainian. So if you go to Ukraine and you say, hey, are you a Russian or Ukrainian? 9 out of 10. 9 out of 10 are going to say that they are Ukrainian. They are Ukrainian. And Jesus Ukrainian. How can you not, if you don't have a damn conscience, even if you don't want U.S. involvement or U.S. Imperialism, how can you not, what the fuck? How, that's some sick fucking shit, motherfuckers. I got the idea. I got the idea of what the fuck is happening over there. A bunch of fucking insane fucking bullshit. And it's disgusting and it's gross and it's mass murder, mass destruction, it's the rape of Ukraine. It's the rape of Ukraine. And actually, if you look throughout history, they're going to say that Keevan Rus is when they began. Yeah, no, the Keevan Rus is when goddamn Russia started raping Ukraine. That was Novgorod. So the people from Novgorod, the Swedish Vikings from Novgorod, they're going to establish Ladoga in Novgorod. So that's Rurik. But the people that stole Keev, that they say started the Keevan Rus, is Oleg in 882. So Russia began in 862 in Ladoga and Novgorod. Modern day Russians are the Muscovites. They are not the Ukrainians. The Ukrainians should just call themselves the Ukrainians to avoid any goddamn further confusion from here on till the end. Because, yeah, Rurik is established. He establishes himself in Ladoga and Novgorod. And I don't know if Novgorod was actually... He probably stole that shit too, right? He probably stole that shit too. But if we're going to pretend that their story is the Keevan Rus, they say that's the mother too. The mother of Russia is in Keev. Mother, Keev is, so who's the father? Motherfucking Novgorod, fucking Petersburg, motherfucking Moscow. Who's the father, right? They're saying it's just the mother, so I feel like they're a bunch of patriarchal fucking right-wing, anti-gay, homophobic pieces of shit, so fuck them. So anyways, 882, you're going to have Prince Oleg, this Swedish Viking. They're going to call him the Rus. So this Swedish Viking, he's going to take Keev in 882. And how's he take Keev? He takes Keev by killing the shit out of Askwald and Durd. Askwald and Dur in fucking cold blood. And I don't understand that story. I don't know if they're the Norse or if they're the Slavs. Who the fuck is Askwald and Dur? If they're like some Hungarian, Mongolian, fucking Muslim. I don't know who the hell this Askwald and Dur is. But that's the beginning of the Russian Empire. That's the beginning of the marriage between Russia and Ukraine, is when Prince Oleg, this motherfucking Swedish Viking, this killing, 882, he goes to Keev. He's got this Igor. He says, hey, I got this Igor here, because Igor is the son of Rurik. Rurik is going to die, but Igor's only, a year or two old. So Rurik gives Igor to Oleg and says, take care of my son for me, will ya? Make sure you protect him. So Oleg goes to Keev with this toddler and says, this is your future king, which means I'm your king, and fuck you, ask one in dirt, and then just, stabs him, I guess, in the eye or something, just kills him in cold blood, pretends to have a nice meeting. Hey, you want to, we're from Novgorod. You want to, have a nice meeting, and then he just kills the fuck out of him. And then takes Keev over. So the Kievan Rus, the establishment of the Kievan Rus is actually the first time that Russia raped Ukraine. And then Russia just keeps on raping the shit out of Ukraine. Everybody keeps on raping the shit out of Ukraine. It seems like everybody wants a piece. The fucking Mongolians want a piece. The Byzantines want a piece. Everybody wants a piece of the Ukraine. Just leave leave Ukraine alone, goddammit. And then in 988, Vladimir I, the pagan prince of Novgorod and the grand prince of Keev, accepted the Orthodox Christian faith and was baptized in the Crimean city. So they're like fucking overly Christy-ass motherfuckers. Chair son Nessus and Chair son Nessus. So you're going to have this Vladimir 988, Vladimir I, pagan prince of Novgorod, grand prince Keev. He accepts the Orthodox Christian faith, baptized in the Crimean city of Chersonesus. And then from that moment on, according to Vladimir Putin, the Russians and the Ukrainians were just one people. They were just one and the same, just in lockstep with one another. There was no Holodomor. What Holodomor? Holodomor? Khrushchev never gave Crimea to the Ukrainians. That didn't happen. The Russians and the Ukrainians have always been the same. They've been one people. They're the same people. They've always been the same people. There is no difference between the Russians and the Ukrainians. Except for Mila Kunis and Femin, they're so fucking pretty. I guess I think of fucking Russia like less beautiful. More white bread, plain white. And they're not like the Caucasus. They're not like, they don't have, those blue eyes with the fucking, the goddamn thing with the, in the hair. Yeah, the Eastern Europeans are like the Caucasians, people from the land of Caucasia. They're like our exotic whites, right? I don't know. That's what it feels like to me. So what? So, yeah, don't be racist. That's not what I'm trying to say. But be Ukrainian, because they're the oppressed, and fuck Russia right now. So fuck the Russians, and they've had their fucking day in the sun. This is the best you can do, Russia? Fuck you. Y'all suck. Let's have Ukrainians, it's their day in the sun. Let's give them their 15 minutes of fame. Their 15 minutes of fame. Russia, just over and over again. Peter the Great, fucking Catherine the Great, fucking, Dickhead the Great. They're all keep on wanting to rape goddamn, Oleg, Prince Oleg. Rurik, he was fine in, Novgorod and Ladoga. But Oleg, for some reason, Rurik is going to die. And then Oleg was, well, fuck, I got to go take Keev. I got to go kill people in Keev and take that city. That city is a better place for us, Russian people, us Swedish Vikings. The Rus, the Swedish Vikings. Russia censored the Ukrainian language. 1863, they banned the publication of educational literature written in the Ukrainian language. 1876, Tsar Alexander II, who lived from 1818 to 1881, was holidaying at the bathing resort of Bad Ems in Germany. That's interesting. So these fucking Russian czars are just, going on vacations in Germany. Signed the Ems Act, which banned all publishing. So he's just in the Ukrainian language. So he's just sitting at a spa in fucking Germany, and he's like, you know what? Fuck the Ukrainian people. Fuck their language. Fuck their culture. Fuck their history. Fuck everything about them. That's Tsar Alexander II. Okay, thanks, Russia, but no fucking thanks. If they're not, starving the shit out of 4 million Ukrainians, then they're banning the, the Ukrainian language. Or trying to, what is it going to be, a goddamn inquisition? You write or speak the Ukrainian language, and then a Holodomor is going to fucking happen to you. That was the breadbasket. The Ukrainians were the poor peasant farmers given, just the grains and everything for the world. And they just basically blamed. They said it was all politics and shit. But no, right after the Great Depression, Stalin, you're doing some new shit. Fuck him. It's all about nation state. They weren't about democracy. They didn't have, a turnover of government every 4 or 8 years like America has. We should compare and contrast the elections of Ukraine and Russia. We'll do that next. So this fucking Putin, this fucking goddamn piece of shit, this ignorant pooty poo with his cooey coo needs to have his face rubbed in some dewy dew and eat out my who. 1999, 20,000 Chechens are going to get killed in Grozny because of Vladimir Putin. Vladimir Putin killed 20,000 Chechens at least. They said tens of thousands because there were so many fucking dead bodies. They just had to kind of say, well, it's not really 100,000, so tens of thousands. Yeah, at least tens of thousands. So at least 20,000 Chechens were killed in 1999. Why? Because Chechnya want to be their own nation. So you got Russia. We're going to pretend that Russia cares about independence movements. How come Russia didn't give a shit about the independence movement of Chechnya in 1999. In fact, that's how Putin is going to get his rise to power. This is going to be his Reichstag moment. This is a false flag, probable false flag. The apartment bombings is going to kill 300 Russians. Who did the apartment bombings? There was like people sending anthrax in the mail or some shit. Who the fuck knows? But the type of shit that they use, actually only the government has. But there's apartments, like 3 random apartments all throughout Russia gets fucking blown up. 300 Russians are killed. And what happened? Putin says, fuck the Chechens. Chechnya is a republic, but it's considered a part of the federal system of Russia today. Why? Because in 99, and then they had a war for fucking years. So what the fuck? And the way that the Chechens actually brought the Russians to the negotiating table after years of war was just 5,000 Chechens held out. They said, we're fucking diehards. You're going to have to nuke us, kill us all or just sign us, a deal or some shit, motherfucker. This is our goddamn nation. We've been running our own affairs for quite some time. You want to come here and you're going to have to kill, pull fucking Vietnam, fucking genocide the fuck out of us. Just show the whole world how barbaric you motherfuckers are. You weren't doing no special fucking operation. You weren't just trying to save this little piece. You're trying to take over the whole fucking thing. And if you didn't get your way, you was going to kill anybody and everybody. You had in Syria, there is some idea of checking American fucking imperialism. Good on Putin here. How about this with Venezuela? Good on Putin with Venezuela. Good on Putin in Kazakhstan. Apparently there's a coup d'etat, CIA coup d'etat attempt going on in Kazakhstan. So anywhere where Putin is, in Syria, it feels like he's kind of been a check on U.S. imperialism in Syria. But that's, Venezuela. I don't like that they're going to turn into a dictatorship. You only get 8 years, motherfuckers. Putin's been in there for 23. 12. FDR, the greatest president, at 12. But he's been in there for 23 fucking years. He's basically the Stalin of our goddamn era. Big shocker. The Stalin of our fucking era is going around killing people. So you're going to have Putin, who's had this 23-year terrorist regime, started out with the blood of 20,000 Chechens. Now he's got the blood of 1,000 Syrians. And then also 1,000 killed, 1,000 Georgians. And Georgia's, firmly in the pocket of Putin saying, hey, we can't sanction Putin. Guys, we can't. So now Georgia's firmly in the pocket of Georgia, or of Russia now. Why? Because South Ossetia and Abkhazia and South Ossetia, they had a bunch of Russians there. So he pretended to save 2 little tiny regions in the state, the Republic of Georgia in Asia, there by the, Caucasus Mountains. And you have, I think, South Ossetia. So he pretended to save 2 regions, just like in Ukraine, and then, invades Georgia. But I think today they're still in occupation. The Russians are still in South Ossetia and Abkhazia, and with Georgia so firmly in the pocket of Putin, they might as well just be occupying Georgian territory. So 2008, we see some aggression. Crimea, we see some aggression from Putin. 2014, only 6 people were killed in that Crimean affair. Then he has that bullshit referendum after the occupation. Right, said, well, Crimea, they want to join Russia. You have to ask the Crimeans before you occupy them. You can't take them over and then say, well, what do you want? So that's basically vote at gunpoint. Fucking bullshit democracy. Just shows you how Putin has no respect for democracy whatsoever. In 2008 in Georgia, when he takes over the South Ossetia and Abkhazia, he didn't give them a referendum. He gave them a referendum in Crimea. He didn't give Donetsk and Luhansk a referendum. America, is all about democracy. How come nobody's talking about giving Donetsk and Luhansk a referendum and give the Ukrainian people the referendum? America needs to bring some democracy to Luhansk, Luhansk, and the Ukraine. We got this $800 billion empire. For what? What's the fucking point? $800 billion empire. We wouldn't give, freedom and democracy to fucking Iraq. That's what we said, right? We got to save them people over there. Well, you got the Ukrainian people that need to be goddamn saved. You care about freedom and democracy? Well, they need, ranked choice voting. They needed 3 branches of government. They need a new constitution. They got a goddamn imperialist, anti-democracy, fascist fucking occupying piece of shit. This Hitler motherfucker, Putin comes to power in 99 like Hitler came to power with the Reichstag false flag attack, and then he's going to expand, slowly but surely, right? Expanding in Syria, expanding in Kazakhstan, expanding in Chechnya, expanding in Georgia, expanding in Crimea. How many fucking times did it take for goddamn Adolf Hitler to expand before the world finally, was finally, onto his fucking game? Hey, Hitler, what you up to there, buddy? This is like the 10th region you've stolen in a row. We even signed that damned agreement about the Sudetenlands. We even goddamn, to fucking twisted Bohemia's arm. Made sure that they fucking gave you them Sudetenlands. And you're going to keep on taking more and more shit. Nah, Hitler, Danzig isn't yours, Hitler. And Ukraine isn't yours, Putin. Ukraine is not yours, Putin, you motherfucking pile of shit, you imperialist, capitalist, goddamn war criminal son of a bitch, motherfucker. Russians, what a bunch of bitches, right? Gonna let this fucking pooty poo fucking, dicky do fucking take over their goddamn country. Hey, Russia, you got a dictator running you motherfuckers roughshod. You got Stalin who's running the shit out of you. You don't have democracy. You don't have freedom. You got a lot of oppression. You need a constitution. You need a Bill of Rights. You need 3 branches of government. You need a functioning democracy by the people. That's the only what are y'all doing? So yeah, Putin, you gotta get the fuck out of Ukraine. And actually get the fuck out of all these other areas too while you're at it too. Fuck the Putin regime. Scale your shit back or some shit where if the whole idea is you don't like U.S. imperialism and we need a new world order. Alright, sit down. Let's get Russia and the U.S. out of the Security Council. And let's get Bolivia and Cuba into the Security Council. Let's really let's get the 5 poorest regions of the world. 5 of the the 200 countries, right? You're a country if you're part of the United Nations. So look at the United Nations, pick the 5 smallest or the weakest with the smallest military or with the lowest population and have them have the veto power and the rest of us are fucking equals. Only the 5 weakest of us get the veto power and then the rest of us have to be equals. Giving the veto power to a superpower. The superpower is a superpower. They already got all the money and all the military. And they got the veto? Nah, the veto needs to go to a poor, powerless nation. And Palestine, Yemen, I don't know. Just you pick them, but I could suggest some. Senegal, Cameroon, I'm not for sure. The poorest nation. What are the 5 poorest nations in the world? We'll get my fact checkers on that. Do you know the parents of Soviet leader Nikita Khrushchev in the late 1900s worked on the Donbass mines? The concept of Ukraine has existed for hundreds of years. Nationalism is weird. So some people in Ukraine think of themselves as Russians, and they try to, Peter the Great tried to tie Russia with Ukraine by tying them to the ancient Russians, but they went to Moscow. St. Petersburg and Novgorod is by Moscow. It's not by, Keev. It's a fucking goddamn, the distance between Keev and Novgorod is the distance between El Paso and Denver. So people in Denver aren't going to El Paso and vice versa. The culture of Denver versus the culture of El Paso, nothing's the same about there's only fucking 2 people that, go from El Paso to Denver. We got cars and planes and trains and shit. So imagine before when it was, just a buggy, and this is, before Daniel Greenberg. This is before Femin and Ina Shevchenko. This is before Mila Kunis. I mean, this is, after Confucius, after Gilgamesh, This is after the Roman Empire. Jesus was killed by the Roman Empire. So nationalism is weird. Nationalism is just what you believe. What nation are you? I'm a human. I'm an earthling, so I'm part of the humanist. I'm an earthling. I'm an earthlingist. I'm an Americanist. I'm an Americanist, by birth, a humanist by the awful grace of God. But there's some things that's inescapable. No matter how much, I don't like to be called white, and I don't particularly like to be called American. But when I walk around the world, people say, "Hey, look at that white American." So, as much as I don't like what people say, I am whatever you say I am. If I wasn't, then why would I say I am in the paper and the news every day? I am. I don't know. That's just the way I am. So sick and tired of being admired that I wish. Okay, so a nation is just which ideas move you, which ideas do you hold near and dear to your heart. I loved Castilla County. I don't love it as much anymore. I love Colorado. I love America. I love the idea of Washington and Vermont. So I also love and freedom. So if there's like a freedom and love brigade, a freedom and love and peace and justice brigade, a virtue, a constitution brigade, a constitution and 100 freedoms to a Bill of Rights brigade, that's the nation I belong to. So I hold Colorado near and dear to my heart because what a great democracy. What a great fucking democracy here in Colorado. Love Colorado. Love America. My pillow guy is fucking wrong when it comes to Jenna Griswold. The only thing that's Colorado needs is ranked choice voting. That's the only problem we need here in. So that my pillow guy's on some dumb shit. Anyways, what am I? Putin, nationalism. Nationalism is weird because, in a way, Russia could say that they created Ukraine, whether they create Ukraine or not. They try to conquer Ukraine and say, you're just a county of Russia. And the Ukrainians say, no, we're not a county, we're our own country. And they overthrow Russia. Either way, they're the Ukrainians, right? So they're either the Ukrainians under the dominion of the Russian Empire or they're the Ukrainians who fought against the Russian, Empire. So maybe they're the true blue Russians because they're for a republic. They're not for motherfucking one neighbor fucking over another neighbor. They're the actual Christians. Let's just have a Christian argument here. Is Putin? You're supposed to love thy neighbor. You're supposed to treat thy neighbor like thyself. So if Putin doesn't want a bunch of fucking tanks and shit going into his country, blowing the shit out of his civilians and blowing the shit out of his military, he shouldn't do that to other people. In fact, there's no reason why Ukraine shouldn't invade Russia. Start fucking putting, Ukrainian troops and American troops all around Russia. Hey, world, we fucking need you. Russia is being aggressive and they're being imperialist and they want to take over the fucking world. You got some gripes, you got some complaints. Hear me out, or I'll hear you out. What the fuck you want? What kind of world you want, motherfucker? Because if you're saying you're going to let this Putin motherfucker do whatever the fuck you want, frankly, America's got its flaws, but I'd rather American empire over Russian empire. I'd rather the United Nations, I'd rather have a United Nations empire over, any one country having an empire. I'd rather have like I said, Bolivia and Cuba and Palestine and Cameroon and South Africa be a part of the Security Council. So I would want to see the United Nations reformed. I don't like that the United States is not only has all the money and all the military, but also has political power. That's, basically that was a fail-safe switch. Hey, Russia, China, you want to be part of our club? Well, what if, the world says we're doing some shit wrong? Well, they never will. Only we could say when we're doing something wrong. Well, what happens when one of us is doing something wrong and the rest of the other ones don't do shit? Well, I guess either the rest of the fucking little ones, the fucking nobodies will have to all come together and just, stop you on your fucking own. Fidel Castro will probably be sending troops to Ukraine right now. And I don't like that, they're having fucking issues there. But anyways, so Putin is gut checking Ukraine. They're raping the shit out of. Hey, Ukraine, you're being fucking raped and murdered and pillaged by Russia right now. You should stand up and fight. You should absolutely stand, unless you're like, well, you know what? I'm not really a Ukrainian. I've always been a Russian. I've always been a big Putin fan, a big Putin follower. And you know what? Putin should just take the fucking world over. Okay. I can't argue with you on that. But if you're like, you know what, we're our own people and we've been running our own shit for a while, what the fuck, nation state system? Ukraine's always been a country to me. I feel like if anybody invades America, yeah, I'll fucking. I mean, you're goddamn right, but that's do the Ukrainians think of the? I think that they do. I think 80%, if not more. The Crimea, that map showed you how small the population of. There's just only a small minority of Russians that are in. Most of them, they're fucking 90% Ukrainian. When the Muscovites come into your town and start to rape, murder, pillage, attack, hurt, and steal your people, you just going to lay down? Do you think you're important enough to stand up and fight? So, yeah, I think that, do Americans think they're, God, I heard Crystal Ball say that she wouldn't fight. So, America, the nation states, these borders, none of this shit means shit to her. I think you got to pick something. Fucking shit. If you don't, believe in something, you'll fall for anything. Some Ukrainians consider themselves the actual Russians, and then the Russians today are the actual Muscovites. And that makes sense to me. So you could say maybe there's the Kievan Russians and the Moscow, the Moscow Russians. You got Moscow Russians and you got the Kievan Russians. But if you want to take the Rus, the fucking culture of the Rus, there's the Slavs, you had the Scythians, you had the Sumerians, you had whole bunch of ancient peoples in Ukraine. So there's a lot of different cultures the Ukrainian people could just, pick up and, make their own. They could also be postmodernists, just, we're the internet information generation. So, hell, we want to be a part of America. We're going to have a referendum. Fuck NATO. Fuck the United Nations. We're just going to become the 51st state of America. What do you think about them apples, motherfucking goddamn Russia? How about that? If the Ukraine sits there and says that they would be a state, that means they would fight and die for us and be a part of us. Why the fuck would the Americans be stupid as shit? It's like Puerto Rico. Puerto Rico votes to become a state, and we say, fuck you, Puerto Rico. Why would we do that? We immediately should make Puerto Rico, Ukraine a state. Any other, Japan. Japan should be an honorary. They're kind of an already, Japan loves America more than we do. Zelensky's sitting there quoting every goddamn motherfucking person in the goddamn world. Fucking MLK, FDR, basically Winston Churchill, the beaches. We need people on the beaches and people up in the outhouses and the fucking skyscrapers and what the fuck ever. So he's using basically all these historical, he's trying to say, hey, motherfuckers, what in the hell are you all the Americans that I read about in the history books and that I see on the TV and shit? Are you a bunch of fucking pussy ass, fucking bitch ass, fucking pussy ass, fucking. You would watch. I mean, if your neighbors are being raped by a gang of thieves, you're just gonna fucking sit there and do nothing. And then what? Hope that the gang of thieves don't rape the shit out of you? Well, they wouldn't say that to me. They wouldn't do that to me. Not now, maybe. Maybe tomorrow they will. I mean, what do you mean? Why wouldn't they do that to you? They just did that to them. So, yeah, the Russians today are the Muscovites, or the Novgorods. They ain't the fucking Kievians. The Kievians are the Ukrainians. So, Novgorod is closer to Moscow and St. Petersburg. Novgorod has that river. Is it the fucking Volga River? So, Novgorod is, attached to the east more than Keev. Keev is on the Dnieper. On the Dnieper River. And the Dnieper River goes, straight north to south. So when you had the Hanseatic League and the Baltic states and the Vikings trading with the Byzantine Empire in Constantinople, they would go through Keev. They would go through Dnieper. They would have to go through Dnieper. So Keev is more on the main trading path between the Baltic states, Sweden and Norway and, Netherlands and UK and Germany to Constantinople, at least from that direction. I guess you could go around the other way, maybe the Mediterranean. Can you get to the Yeah, I'm sure you could get to it. But the Dnieper River, fucking A. I mean, Keev, basically that's the best thing about business is location, location, location. Keev was right there on the main fucking track. So that was a good spot for the Spanish Vikings to conquer and to take over whoever asshole Endur is. So either they killed one of their own, so you had some treacherous shit where they killed, another Spanish Viking, brother or sister, and or they killed a Slav king or queen, or some other indigenous people that so the Red Russians and the Blue Russians, maybe we could say that. The Southern Russians versus the Northern Russians. But I would say just, you got the Russians in the north and you got the Ukrainians in the south. The Ukrainians have some, some Russians, some Rootsy. They have the roots of the Rootsy. So, yeah, they had some Russians that were, tried to rape the shit out of them. They also had some Mongolians that tried to rape the shit out of them. They had some Scythians that tried to rape the shit out ever since the beginning. If you were just to look at Ukraine as a nation state, that land mass and those boundaries, they probably had motherfuckers that's been trying to conquer them for quite some time. They are the borderlands. I mean, that's why Christopher Columbus came to America, right? To find a trade route for the spices. You had somebody that was blocking the Turks. Was it the Turks that was blocking the spice route or some shit? So Turkey's right there, the borderland, or Turkey is that Turkey would be a trade route, but also the Ukraine would be an important trade route. They're like the main fucking trade route in between Russians and, the rest of us and fucking shit. They're also the second largest landmass. They got 46 million people. There's more people in the Ukraine than there is in California. California is the most populous state in America. So the Ukraine has more people in, a bigger population in it than the most popular state in America. And we're going to turn our back on it. Well, that means we're turning our back on Europe. And if white America doesn't give a shit about anybody in Europe, I'll keep on pushing for war until the end of March. But I'm very much a pacifist, and I very much want this empire to end. So if nobody has the stomach to fucking stand up and fight these Russian piece of shit motherfuckers, I'm not going to be a lone motherfucker just sitting there saying. So you got Russia on the right and Ukraine on the left. You got Russia up to the north and you got Ukraine to the south. You got Russia, who are the Muscovites, the St. Petersburgians, the Novgorodians, the Ladogians, but not the Keevians. In Ukraine, you got the Lvivians, you got the Odessians, and you got the Keevians. You got the Keevians, the Lvivians, the Odessians, the Mariupolians. The same man who founded Keev is the same man who founded Kievets on the Danube River. So Keev isn't just, the man who actually founded Keev was before goddamn 1862. So it wasn't Rurik and it wasn't the Swedish Vikings. It wasn't that fucking Oleg. Oleg did not discover Keev and say, okay, built the goddamn, city from scratch like Las Vegas. He didn't build Keev like Las Vegas from scratch. He found it. Keev, because other people were living there. He just came across it and then killed the motherfucking people that were ruling it. Three brothers, Keev, Chek, and Koriv, and sister Libid. They also had some hills that they were in charge of, but these are the people that founded the Keev. So when they talk about Prince Oleg is the beginning of, the Kievan Rus, if that's the case, well, that means the Ukrainian history. Well, that happens before 1860 or 1882. The Ukrainian history, you had Key and Chek and Koriv, and the Libid, the sister Libid. So you had these four people who actually, each one of them were in charge of a hill in Kiev, Ukraine. So you got Ukrainian history that is going on beforehand. And hell, we broke out of Africa 50,000 years ago. Native Americans have been around here for 14,000 years. And then, what the oldest goddamn fucking Homo sapiens sort of connected? Chimpanzee, Lucy the chimpanzee is like 3.2 million years old. So 3.2 million. Yeah, we've been around here for quite some time. We've been in Africa for 3 million years. We just broke out of Africa 50,000 years ago. So is it possible that some people may have gone from Africa to Ukraine and hung around Ukraine for a little bit and never fucking left? Yeah, that's your diehard Ukrainian right there. They broke out of Africa, he settled in Ukraine, and he never fucking left. So, yeah, there's some Czech. That kind of sounds like Czech, like the Czech Republic, like the story Let's Czech and Rus, Well, Let's Check and Roost went on, went on a hunt. The water spout. Down came the rain. And Libid came tumbling after. So Let's Check and Roost. Did you hear about the story of Let's Check and Roost? Lech is supposed to be the Polish, Czech is supposed to be the Czech Republic, and the Rus are the Russians. And so the idea is that they have some sort of common native between them. The Czech people, the Czech Republic, the Bohemians, Lech, the Polish. The Polish, I have mixed feelings about the Polish. A lot of times they are the oppressed. A lot of times the Polish, even the Polish nobles, are the oppressed. That's why you had Pulaski, who was fighting in the American Revolution. So, Let's Chechen Rus. Oh, good old Let's Chechen Rus. When they're inking, blinking, and nod. Inking, blinking, and nod. And then that Khorryv, it's Khoryyv, that looks like Kharkiv. So you had Keev, who founded Keev. Keev founded Keev, and Keev also founded Kievets. I call this place Keev. Who you naming after, me? You just start putting a V at the end of it? Yep. I'm going to call this place Jonathan's V. Jonathan Vets. Jonathan Vets. That's the name of this town. Keev Vets on the Danube. So this motherfucker that founded Keev founded another city. So this motherfucking Key is way bigger than motherfucking this Oleg or this other Rurik guy. Key was also there before. So Key was there before. He established something beforehand. There was something that was going on in Key before Oleg even got there. So 882. 882 is when the mother of Russia began. No. That's when maybe the father of Russia raped the shit out of the Ukraine. Raped the shit out of Miss Ukraine. Raped the shit out of beautiful, pure, wonderful Keev, the goddess of Keev. Russia stole Keev in 882. Key began probably hundreds of years beforehand. When did Key actually begin? They said something about the Karzans. The Karzans had conquered after the descendants of Key had died. Then the Karzans, the Kazans, Khazan, they conquered. So whenever they came in, the Kazans, that's when the Keys, the dynasty of the Keys went down. So I think it's right at fucking 862. So that means, if they were there in the goddamn 400s, they very much could have been in the 800s, but they could have also been there in the 400s. Hell, maybe they were there during Jesus Christ's time. Like I said, 800, 882. 882, this is after Gilgamesh, after Confucius, after Jesus, but before Mila Kunis, before Joseph Conrad, and before Daniel Greenberg, who, of course, founded the Sudbury Valley Model School, where they take freedom and democracy as a principle that they hold near and